G'day, how's it going? Two Toasted here. In this video I'll be repairing a faulty chrome red Xbox 360 controller I got in a job lot of 3 from eBay, which you can see was pretty poorly packaged. I picked this lot up for $30 included postage, but that's Australian money, so it's pretty worthless. The red controller itself kind of persuaded me to get this lot, as it's worth a bit more than your standard white or black ones, and I've never actually seen one of these in person, so I thought it was pretty cool. After some quick testing here, I find that the battery compartment doesn't work because it's corroded, as well as down on the D-pad is unresponsive. So yeah, strap in. It's a bit of a long one, but there's some cool repairs in this, so let's get it cracking and enjoy the ride. Got the old white vinegar out here, just for the corrosion from the battery in the battery compartment. Hopefully we can get in there. I'm just going to pour this into the cap. Got an old toothbrush here that I'm going to dab into it and try and get in that hole and dip down in there. See, as soon as that goes in there, it's reacting, making a lovely noise. That's great. Really foaming up. Probably get a cotton bud or Q-tip in a minute to get in there, because I don't think this toothbrush is going to fit. But it's not a bad tool for just getting it in there to do its job. I haven't opened one of these up in a minute, so hopefully I remember what I'm doing. Just got a typical set from Amazon, came with a whole bunch of other things in a little pack. It's the Jacome brand. So this T7, T8, don't exactly remember. So the Torx security bits. It is a T7. I'll move that back over there. So these are the little weird star shaped with a dot in the middle. Maybe I'm just using the wrong size. Maybe it's a T8 if I want to revise what I said earlier. What is anyway? I don't know why that other one came out nicely with the T7. Yeah, it's probably slipping a bit. So T8. Not a T7. Who's an update? There's also a screw, I believe, right there. Have I just done this for no reason? I think I have. As I said, it's been a while since I opened one of these. I think it's under this smaller sticker. Didn't have memory that it was under one of these stickers. I'm just going to try and flatten that back out nicely. The same tool. These are great little tools for stickers and whatnot, as well as they're designed for prying. I carefully use these bad boys. It's got a little pair of pointy nose. I don't want to put too much pressure in one spot and rip it. Maybe I'll grab that with my fingers. There it is. So it's under the smaller barcode sticker there. I can't remember if it's not screwed, so it's just held on in the springs there. The back bit comes off. Xbox 360 controllers, one of my favourites to work on because they're so easy in comparison to modern controllers which are all screwed together. So it all comes away very easily. Watch out for these. Oh, that's my membrane. just watch out for your rumble motor cables. Don't break them. If you are worried they just come out of these sockets, just give it a gentle wiggle. Make sure you pull on the top bit of plastic there, not on the cable, not on the lower bit of plastic, because you'll just rip it off the board. Can't immediately see why that wouldn't be working. Contact doesn't look particularly bad. I'll just take out the buttons, put them this nice big spot here. Let's let go. That chunky D-pad, crazy. Maybe some here, maybe some stuff here too. So we'll do the tried and true. We'll just hit everything with IPA, run it over with the toothbrush. Don't use too much, they're not enough, and definitely doesn't hurt. A little inspection, see if there's anything I've kind of missed, any areas that need a particularly hard scrub. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Doesn't look too bad. I will clean that up, but I guess out of the four it does look the worst. Let's get a bit of paper, push the conductive pad through. A couple of drags one way, a couple of drags the other way. And just repeat for all four. Just trying to get that shine off. Trying to make it look nice and dull. This one's definitely, this bottom one there, the worst of them. Clean the contacts on both the board and the conductive pad on the silicone there, and they both look fine as I can tell. So now I'm going to start tracing back to see if there's any components or anything that are looking like they need replacing or they're faulty or something. So grab the old multimeter here, just the cheapo one, set that to continuity. Beep. Now, just looking at it, it looks like this top part here comes directly to that via, whatever you want to call it. I call it a via. And it does. Continuity there. So I'm going to then go to the other side of the board with that. So the easiest way to locate it is a bit of a Bermuda triangle of vias here. I'm going to flip this over and you can see that's the same Bermuda triangle here, and since it was on the right, it's now on the left. So see where this goes. It actually looks like right here, and there's a break in the trace, and that's most likely definitely going to be our problem. See if I can scrape away either side of that break. Some of the mask just to expose the trace itself. Or something on the board there. I'll probably get my head in the way. This is a bit awkward. Just got a bloody box cutter / Stanley knife that's not Stanley. It's probably hard to see, but yeah, if I can't jumper it, I might just scrape maybe back down there somewhere and then jumper it all the way kind of into this straight here, where it's going to be easier and cleaner to get to, rather than trying to do a wire right where it's broken, because it's broken right on where the trace kind of curves, kinks. Alright, so I'm pretty happy with that. I don't want to get too low over here and get too close to that test point. As it is, it's already like a millimeter away, so let's see how that's going to go. Turn on the soldering iron, put it at 380. It's probably too hot. Give me your feedback on that, because I'm still kind of gauging soldering iron temperatures. Alright, so the iron should be nice and hot now. I've got out octopus arm, helping hand job over here. I've also got a magnifying glass bit just here, just so I can see a bit easier. Just going to put some tiny bit of flux down. That's the flux I'm using, just some stuff I got off eBay. Let me know if that's, you recognise that as particularly good or bad. That's what I've used in the past, and it's done pretty well, to be honest. A tiny bit there. So let's see. I tin the area up first. You guys probably won't see this very well. I'm also not an amazing solderer, especially when I'm looking through a microscope, magnifying glass. What it's like when you're trying to get your bearings on that for the first 5 minutes. Solder jumping is definitely not going to work, so I've just got some 32 gauge 0.09 mil. It's incredibly thin wire, enameled wire. So what I'm thinking of doing is, let's get something to point at. Like I said earlier, I'm going to probably expose about down here somewhere, and then up around here somewhere, and jump that far. I know you can jump from V to V, but I really don't want to mess around with those. I don't want to work here just because of this test point. You're going to see I've already melted it and moved it a little bit, so try to work too close to that around this area here. It's going to be a nightmare. Probably going to have to do that out of the helping hands. Just working in this thing is a pain in the ass. So if I get my head in the way too much, I'll just cut and show you the end result. It's not bad. This top one here connected pretty well in the end. Was struggling for a bit, and the bottom one, I don't know if this camera's going to focus, it's a bit reflective. The bottom one ended up kind of working quicker than I expected it to. Those traces were just so tiny that solder just really didn't want to stick to them at all, but we got there in the end. But I will be as gentle as I can with the backside of this board from here on out until I get some solder mask on that, which I will be putting on in the end right after I test it. So I'm going to put this back into here. I don't have the test console back out in a moment, and we'll just confirm that the down is working. Let me crank the volume on this, just so hopefully you can hear if it's working. And it is. How good that? Yeah, I'm gonna get all this out of the way, tear this back down. Before I start cleaning, I'll put on some solder mask onto the board so that that jumper wire doesn't go anywhere ever again. Alright, so I've washed my hands and I'll just put this board up here again just to see if I can get you a bit of a better shot. See if I can zoom. See where those connections are. There and there. That point right there in the middle was where I was originally attempting it, right next to test point 7. You can see just here. Let me get something thinner than my finger to point it. This was the original area, and that's where the brake is. So I've gone there and there. You can see it kind of just connects, but it's sturdy enough to make a connection between the trace. And yeah, pretty happy that it's worked out, because it was, it's very thin, it's very fiddly, and soldering to these bloody very thin traces, like you're talking less than a millimeter, maybe half a millimeter wide, especially for amateurs such as myself. It's a bit of work. Now I've got out the solder mask from the drawer and a wet wipe, because every time I use this stuff I always get it everywhere, and even just getting it out of the drawer I managed to get it on my fingers a bit, so it's already dirty. Hopefully this goes right. This is just some cheap, called Mechanic UV curing solder mask ink. Something I got off of eBay, cheap. It does the job fine. Yeah, last time I used this it was a bit, seemed a bit clogged maybe. I did just get a bit of a, there it is on me already. I got a bit of a thumbtack / push pin, just kind of cleaned out in there. Okay, I can see it's coming out of the tip now, just from the pressure. So I'm just going to go over this connection at the top. Also, I should see if I can zoom in just so you can see a bit better. I'll show you in the end anyway, but it's pretty simple. And I'm going to be liberal with this. You're probably looking at this like, why have you got such a thick blob? But I don't want it to come off, and controllers, you know, even though it's an old Xbox 360 controller and it's less likely to be, you know, it's heavily used in today's age. Still, with it being a controller and what controllers go through, you know, drops, shakes in frustration, just all that kind of wear and tear. I really don't want this jump to come off. So as much as the solder holding it there, you know, you hit this too hard and that solder connection can definitely come loose. Do one more check for continuity between the vias. Perfect. So I'm going to set this off just to the side, so I don't knock it or anything, and next time you see that, it should be dry. The solder mask will be dry, and then I'll touch up the triggers, they've just got a bit of gunk in the LT and RT indentations. Okay, that off to the side. I'm going to put the gloves on and have a look at this. So this is the one with the button that works fine, but there is some corrosion in here. I'm going to get the cap of vinegar out again, and I don't tip what's left in the cap back in the bottle. Tip that down the drain and rinse out the cap. I'm just going to flood some more into this, and when I reach over here, put my arm in the way, just get a few cotton buds out / Q-tips. I think Americans mainly call them Q-tips, not that it really matters. Just to try and get it right in there and loosen up what was happening on the contacts right at the bottom. So, not quite done, but I was going at this, cleaning that side where I just mentioned, and then I realised it didn't look quite right, and I was like, how does that short bit hit the battery? If I turn this around and you look into both of them, you can see on the bottom side here on this black one, half of the metal tab that comes up is completely eroded away and broke off and gone. So yeah, I found that this thing does, the metal piece, the one that's broken, does push out. Alright, so I've cleaned this out to a point where I'm pretty damn happy with it. I can maybe see one or two tiny blue flecks in here. Maybe. Very hard to tell. And then I flooded it with IPA. I got it dry. So I'm happy with this for the most part. It is broken up the top here, as you can see. But I think maybe even this one's broken. But I don't think that matters too much, because that's the bit that just sits down there. I did notice that there was a bit of small black plastic, if you can see in here. Now you can't really see, but there's like little black plastic molded discs that are holding these contact bits in, and that's for extending the broken bit that makes contact with the battery. I'm just going to use a bit of this 3V CR2025 battery that I've got for putting in Game Boy games, like Pokemon games. It's a save battery, because I should be able to work around this if I ever need to use, this particular battery in the future. So I'm just going to cut it back over here somewhere, and it's already got a hole in it, which is going to make it easier to solder in kind of onto the end of that tab. So that's what I'm going to use. There you go. Just put my finger in front of it there, so when it does cut, it doesn't fly into the abyss. And yeah, I should be able to use that in the future, running a jumper wire or something. I've set up the bloody UV light on the helping hand, which was probably going to be useful for this, but we press on. Alright, so I've grabbed some small pliers I've got here that kind of stay closed, they don't spring back open, I think, which isn't by design. They need to be like lubricated, but I quite like that they do that, because they're often handy for keeping things closed. So while my helping octopus arm hands are in use over there with the UV light over the solder mask, I'm going to use this on a bit of electrical tape roll. Just going to hold it like that. Then I'll get the tweezers to put the little metal tab on there and solder. I'm going to just put some, apply some solder here first, hopefully. It's going to be a little bit finicky to do on this, I think, and we'll see how I go. Just try and heat this up again. Be more patient this time and actually heat up the metal. So you can see that sort of worked. Yeah, this works for the most part. Probably just added way too much as usual. I'm going to grab the tip without the hole of the metal plate, the tweezers, and my other hand grab the soldering iron. And hopefully get the right angle. That is sort of pretty much done what I wanted it to do. It's not exactly straight, which isn't immensely critical. So yeah, there's a nice bit of solder coming through the actual hole that was in the tab there. And it's pretty strong. Should do what we need it to do. I'll now try and get this back in position into the casing here. Post-production toasted here, and unfortunately I did get this in, but it broke back out, and I will have to just cut this battery compartment open. Oh well. So now what I'm going to do is just go clean all these buttons and rubbers in the casing in the sink. You won't see that. You don't really need to see that. Pretty simple, warm soapy water, sponge. Not too much soap, not too much washing liquid. A lot of videos I see is just mountains of bubbles. That's really excessive and unnecessary. But yeah, I'll get the toothbrush. Got this. It's just like a nail scrubber, which is good. I don't know how abrasive I want to be on this. I probably just want to use a cloth on that so it doesn't get scratched up. But the rest of it, like this, should be alright. And yeah. Alright, so we're back. Everything is dried. The solder mask is now nice and firm, being under the UV light. So I'm happy with it turned out. Time to remember how to put this back together. Should be fairly simple. I'll just pop all these buttons in there. I'll just go through that quickly. And yeah, I'll probably just fast forward through all this. Okay, so I've got it back together. I haven't put the screws in it yet, just because I want to test it completely first, make sure everything's working. I will unfortunately have to cut it open, glue it in, make sure it's all in position properly. Just going to carefully cut down the sides. Right, so it's actually just come away. So that's molded in there. These metal tabs. It is not great for repairability. It definitely sits there, but how so? Not entirely sure. Doesn't really seem to contact the other side very well. So what I'm going to do is just pry open these springy clip bits a lot more. Close that up and move that to the side. So when it's in there, it's really contacting the other metal clip and really passing along the current. That one's also up a lot higher than this one, so maybe I do need to bend this forward. Let's see if this is going to work. While it's separated, I'll try and hold it together. There we go. So that will work if I put it back. It's turned off because it's not connecting to a console. So if I can manage to glue it all back together the way it is, but yeah, I'll have to glue in the contact. As you see, it just keeps coming loose. So I'll glue that in. It's going to take a while to dry. You can see that it will function. So we're just using this 2-part epoxy that I've got. This is a Yoo-Hoo. You can pretty much use any of these. You just use equal amounts. Usually use a toothpick to apply. Just mix it on a bit of scrap cardboard out of the recycling, just tear off a bit, mix it together, and apply with the same toothpick that I'm using to mix. So I'm going to get a toothpick and a bit of cardboard. Shouldn't need too much of this, but you always mix up more than you need. I'll put a nice little drop that size, and when you're putting these things, epoxies down, try not to put part B on top of part A directly, just put it next to it so you don't mix the two parts kind of at the end of your tube, because then it can cause it, to clog and harden up. Those little mix together. You don't get too long before this starts going weird and difficult to work with. Probably should have gotten ready. I'm just going to lift that and put not like all of this, put some under there. Like that's going to be plenty. When I push that down, it's probably going to be too much. I'd rather have just a little bit too much than not enough and it break again. At the same time, I'm just going to quickly scratch up the back side of the metal plate with this pick, just to give the adhesive, this two-part epoxy a bit more, something more to grip onto on the metal. And I probably cut it out earlier. I did a similar thing. See, just scratching. I did a similar thing to the metal tab that I soldered on to the bottom of this. I just did some scratching at the bottom where it was broken. So that should hopefully be good. So this one actually sits on top of the other one. You can line it up with the remaining posts from the plastic disc that broke off. That, when it dries, should be really good. And this one I'm just gonna probably get a little bit less on the pick there. I want to apply it just to the inside. And hopefully that's gonna be okay. It goes that way. I'm just going to push that button in to get it together. And yeah, that should dry up alright. So for this side, I'm going to just apply a little bit in there. It's not going to be the prettiest, but it is a hidden part of the controller. Like when you've got this back piece on, you're not going to see any of those internal lines here. That should dry right. I'm not going to jut that around too much, otherwise that contact might come loose. I'm just going to set that to the side with something heavy on top, just keeping everything in place. So we'll get our T8, not T7 bit back and chuck the screws in. I'm going to do that middle one first. There's the click, and the click is just the thread of the screw falling back into place in the thread of the plastic. And you put that the label back down, the barcode label. Just going to use the opener tool that I used to get it off to smooth it out, just because it's got a nice thin edge. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. There's a flock of cockatoos going off. I'll just put the rest of the screws in. So I'm about to polish it, but of course we've got to get the gunk out of the LT and the RT, like I said. I will do the old IPA on the toothbrush. I just spray it to the side so I don't get it everywhere. A little bit of IPA on the carpet, never hurt no one. So what I've got is just some interior protectant. Bloody Armor. I don't know how old this is, and it's probably, if it has a use by date, it's definitely past it. As far as I can tell, it doesn't have a use by date. Give it a bit of a mix up, bit of a squirt everywhere. So let's put it on the rag, squish it down a bit. and then alright, so that's a couple of coats now. I'm just going to give it a nice little wipe down with this. Sure went to Specsavers. Okay, just to quickly wrap everything up here, I've got the battery compartment all nice and glued up and dry. Yeah, that's come out really well. I know you can pick these up really cheap on eBay and whatnot, but the point was to fix it and keep it original. So pop the batteries in. All good. I've got the TV muted just with a game in a different 360 here that actually reads discs, just so I can show you guys that the rumble does work as well. Just wanted to show that because I know you probably, just me flying around through the menu, you can't tell that the triggers and the rumble motor is working. So it's all good. In the end, I'm really happy with how everything has turned out here. The controller looks really good. There were some really nice fixes in this video. If you've gotten to the end, I know it's a bit lengthy, but much appreciated. Thumbs up if you like the video. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see some more video game and electrical repairs and refurb type videos and content. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.